should take it away, Corey.
Take it away. Well, hey guys, we're here in quarantine and
Everyone hang up now. No.
Bye.
The Princess Bride by William Goldman. 1987 shooting draft. Fade in on a video game on a computer screen. The game is in progress as a sick coughing sound is heard. Cut to this kid lying in bed, coughing. Pale, one sick cookie. Maybe he's 7 or 8 or 9. He holds a remote in one hand, presses it, and the video game moves a little bit. Then he's hit by another spasm of coughing. Puts the remote down. His room is monochromatic, grays and blues, mildly high-tech. We're in the present day, and this is a middle-class house, somewhere in the suburbs. Cut to the kid's mother, as she enters, goes to him, fluffs his pillow, and kisses him,
Aww.
briefly feeling the forehead. Okay. She's worried, but it doesn't show. During this,
You feeling any better?
A little bit.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather's here.
Mom, can't you tell him that I am sick?
You are sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
the kid shoots her an I'm sure look. As we cut to the kid's grandfather bursting into the room, kind of rumpled, but the eyes are bright. He has a wrapped package tucked under one arm as he immediately goes to the kid, pinches his cheek.
Hey, how's the sickie, eh?
The kid gives his mother an I told you so look. The mother ignores it, beats a retreat,
I think I'll leave you two pals.
and she is gone. There's an uncomfortable silence.
I brought you a special present.
Then
What?
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Open it up.
the kid does. He does his best to smile.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books.
Okay, Boomer.
This special book. Was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick. And I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
Has it got any points in it?
Cut to the grandfather, suddenly passionate.
Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Cut to the two of them as the grandfather sits in a chair by the bed.
It doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. Your vote of confidence is overwhelming. Let's see here. The Princess Bride by Ed Morgenstern. Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florin.
Dissolve 2, the story he's reading about, as the monochromatic look of the bedroom is replaced by the dazzling color of the English countryside.
Her favorite pastimes were riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, that's really good.
Nothing gave Buttercup as much pleasure as ordering Wesley around.
Cut to Buttercup's farm, day. Buttercup is standing, holding the reins of her horse, while in the background, Wesley, in the stable doorway, looks at her. Buttercup is in her late teens, doesn't care much about clothes, and she hates brushing her long hair. So she isn't as attractive as she might be, but she's still probably the most beautiful woman in the world.
Fun book.
boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
Wesley is perhaps half a dozen years older than Buttercup, and maybe as handsome as she is beautiful. He gazes at her as she walks away.
As you wish, was all he ever said to her.
Dissolve 2, Wesley, outside, chopping wood. Buttercup drops 2 large buckets near him.
Come on, boy, fill these with water. Please.
As you wish.
Eyes stay on her. She stops, turns. He manages to look away as now her eyes stay on him.
That day, she was amazed to discover that when she was saying, as you wish, what she meant was, I love you.
Dissolve 2, Buttercup in the kitchen, dusk. Wesley enters with an armload of firewood.
And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Come on, boy, fetch me that pitcher.
He gets it, hands it to her, and they are standing very close to each other, gazing into each other's eyes.
As you wish.
Now he turns, moves outside. Dissolves 2, Wesley and Buttercup, outside his tiny hovel in the red glow of sunset as they are locked in a passionate kiss.
Hold it! Hold it!
Cut 2, the kids' room.
What is this? Are you trying to trick me? Where are the sports? Is this a kissing book?
Well, now, just wait.
Well, when does it get good?
Keep your shirt on. Let me read. Oh, where was I? Wesley had no money for marriage, so he packed a few things of his belongings and he left the farm to seek his fortune across the sea.
Cut 2, Wesley and Buttercup. They stand near the gate to the farm, locked in an embrace.
It was a very emotional time for Buttercup.
I don't believe this.
I fear I'll never see you again.
Will.
But what if something happens to you?
Hear this now. I will come for you, and I will kill you.
How can you be sure?
This is true love. You think this happens every day?
He smiles at her. She smiles too, throws her arms so tightly around him. They kiss. Then, as Wesley walks away, Buttercup watches him go.
Wesley didn't reach his destination. The ship was attacked by the dread pirate Roberts, who never left captives alive. When Buttercup got the news that Wesley was murdered,
Murdered by pirates is good.
Cut 2, close up, Buttercup staring out the window of her room.
she went into her room and shut the door. And for days she neither slept or ate.
I will never love again.
Good no in her voice. Hold on her face. Perfect and perfectly sad. Dissolve 2, Florin Castle, day. The main courtyard of Florin, replete with townspeople, livestock, and a bustling marketplace.
5 years later, the main square of Florin City was filled as never before to hear the announcement of the great Prince Humperdinck. Bride to be.
Cut 2, Prince Humperdinck, a man of incredible power and bearing, standing in his royal robes on a castle balcony. 3 others standing behind him, an old couple with crowns, the aging king and queen, and a dark bearded man who seems the prince's match in strength. This is Count Rugen.
My people, a month from now, our country will have its 500th anniversary. On that sundown, I shall marry a lady who was once a commoner like you. But perhaps you won't find her so common now. Would you like to meet her?
And
Yeah, we sure would.
booms like thunder. Cut 2, a giant staircase leading to the crowd, and as a figure just begins to become visible. Cut to the crowd as they see the figure. We haven't yet. And if there is such a thing as collective action, then this crowd collectively holds its breath. Cut to the staircase as the figure appears in the archway. It is Buttercup. She is resplendent.
London.
My people, the Princess Buttercup.
She descends the stairs and starts to move amongst the people. Cut to the crowd, and they do a very strange thing. With no instruction at all, they suddenly go to their knees. Great waves of people kneeling, and cut to Buttercup, terribly moved. She stands immobile among her subjects, blinking back tears. Hold on her beauty for a moment.
Buttercup's emptiness consumed her. Although the law of the land gave Humperdinck the right to choose his bride, she did not love him.
Cut to woodlands, and Buttercup, barreling along, controlling her horse easily.
Despite Humperdinck's reassurance that she would grow to love him, the only joy she found was in her daily ride.
Cut to a wooded glen, close to sundown, lovely, quiet, deserted. Buttercup suddenly reins in. A word, my lady! Cut to 3 men standing close together in the path. Beyond them can be seen the waters of Fleuren Channel. The 3 men are not your everyday commuter types. Standing in front is a tiny man with the most angelic face. He is Sicilian and his name is Vizzini. Beside him is a Spaniard, erect and taut as a blade of steel. His name is Inigo Montoya. Beside him is a giant. His name is Fezzik. We are but poor, lost circus performers. Is there a village nearby?
Nothing nearby, not for miles.
Then there will be no one to hear you scream. He nods to the giant Fezzik, who merely reaches over, touches a nerve on Buttercup's neck, and the start of a scream is all she manages. Unconsciousness comes that fast. As she starts to fall, cut to a tiny isolated spot at the edge of the Fleuren Channel. A sailboat is moored. It's dusk now, shadows are long. Inigo, the Spaniard, busies himself, getting the boat ready. Cut to the giant Fezzik carrying Buttercup unconscious on board. Vizzini rips some tiny pieces of fabric from an army jacket and tucks them along the saddle of Buttercup's horse. There is about the entire operation a sense of tremendous skill and precision.
What is that you're ripping?
It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Golder,
Who's Golder?
the country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Fleuren. Go! The horse takes off. They start for the boat. Once the horse reaches the castle, the fabric will make the prince suspect that the Gildarians have abducted his love. When he finds her dead body on the Gilder frontier, his suspicions will be totally confirmed.
You never said anything about killing someone.
Vizzini hops onto the boat. I've hired you to help me start a war. That's a prestigious line of work with a long and glorious tradition.
I just don't think it's right. Killing an innocent girl.
Am I going mad? Or did the words think escape from your lips? You were not hired for your brains, you
Hippopotamic.
mess.
I agree with Fezzik.
Cut to a close-up. Vizzini in a fury.
What?
In a fury. Oh, the sot has spoken. What happens to her is not truly your concern. I will kill her, and remember this. Never forget this. Cut to Inigo and Fezzik as Vizzini advances on them. Nothing shows on Inigo's face, but Fezzik is panicked by Vizzini. When I found you, you were so slobbering drunk you couldn't buy brandy. And you, friendless, brainless, helpless, hopeless. Do you want me to send you back to where you were, unemployed in Greenland? Vizzini glares at them, then turns, leaves them. During this, Inigo has gone close to Fezzik, who is very distressed at the insults he's just received, as Inigo casts off.
That Vizzini, he can fast.
Us. Us. I think he likes to scream at us.
Probably means no harm.
He's really very short on charm.
Oh, you have a great gift for rhyme.
Yes, some of the time.
Enough of that! As they sail off, we hear their voices as the boat recedes.
Fezzik, are there up ahead?
If there are, we'll all be dead.
No more rhymes now, I mean it!
Anybody want a peanut?
As Vizzini screams, we dissolve to the sailboat racing across the dark waters. Inigo is at the helm. Fezzik stands near the body of the princess, whose eyelids flutter slightly. Or do they? Vizzini sits motionless. The waves are higher. There are only occasionally flashes of moon slanting down between clouds. We'll reach the cliffs by dawn. Inigo nods, glances back. Why are you doing that?
Making sure no one's following us.
That would be inconceivable.
What do you think? You will be caught. And when you are, the prince will see you all hanged.
Vizzini turns a cold eye on the princess. Of all the necks on this boat, Highness, the one you should be worrying about is your own. Inigo keeps staring behind them. Stop doing that! We can all relax. It's almost over.
Sure no one is following us?
As I've told you, it would be absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable. No one in Gilder knows what we've done, and no one in Florin could have gotten here so fast. Out of curiosity, why do you ask?
No reason. It's only, I just happened to look behind us and something is there.
What? And suddenly, the three whirl, stare back, and as they do, cut to the darkness behind them. It's hard to see. The moon is behind clouds now, but the wind whistles and the waves pound. And suddenly, it's all gone ominous. Cut to Inigo, Fezzik, and Vizzini squinting back, trying desperately to see. At this moment, they are all holding their breaths. Cut to the darkness behind them, and there's still nothing to be seen. It's still ominous. Only now, it's eerie too. Then, the moon slips through, and Inigo was right. Something is very much there. A sailboat, black, with a great billowing sail. Black. It's a good distance behind them, but it's coming like hell, closing the gap. Cut to Inigo, Fezzik, and Vizzini, staring at the other boat. Probably some local fishermen out for a pleasure cruise at night through eel-infested waters. And now, a sound comes from their boat. They turn as we cut to Buttercup, diving into the water, starting to swim away. Cut to the boat and Vizzini screaming, "Go in! Get after her!"
I don't swim.
I only dog paddle.
Veer left! 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 Cut to Buttercup, still close to the boat, switching from a crawl to a silent breaststroke. The wind dies, and as it does, something new is heard. A not too distant high-pitched shrieking sound. Buttercup stops suddenly, treads water. Cut to the boat. Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eagles. If you doubt me, just wait. They always grow louder when they're about to feed on human flesh. Cut to Buttercup, treading water. Still not far from the boat, the shrieking sounds are getting louder and more terrifying. Buttercup stays silent.
Okay.
Cut to the boat. If you swim back now, I promise no harm will come to you. I doubt you'll get such an offer from the eels. Cut to Buttercup as she's a gutsy girl. The shrieking sound is louder still, but she hears the sound. Behind her now, dark and gigantic, slithers past. She's scared, sure, petrified, but wouldn't be. Who wouldn't be? But she makes no reply, and now a shrieking eel has zeroed in on her. And now she sees it, a short distance away, circling, starting to close in. And Buttercup is frozen, trying not to make a movement of any kind. And the eel slithers closer. And Buttercup knows it now. There's nothing she can do. It's over. All over. And now the eel opens its mouth wide, and it's never made such a noise. And as its great jaws are about to clamp down...
She doesn't get eaten by the eels at this time.
What?
The second we hear him, cut to the sick kid's room. The kid looks the same, pale and weak, but maybe he's gripping the sheets a little too tightly with his hands.
What?
The eel. He doesn't get her. I'm explaining this to you because you looked a little nervous.
Well, I wasn't nervous.
His grandfather says nothing, just waits.
Maybe I was a little bit concerned. But that's not the same thing as being nervous.
Well, because I can stop now if you want.
No, you can read. You could read a little bit more if you want.
He grips the sheets again as the grandfather picks up the book.
Where was I? Oh, yes. Do you know what that sound is, Your Highness?
Cut to Vizzini. We're back on the boat. Those are the shrieking eels.
We're past that, Grandpa.
Cut to the sick kid's room.
You read it already.
Oh my goodness. I did. I'm sorry. Beg your pardon.
Cut to Buttercup treading water.
All right. Let's see. She was in the water. The eel was coming after her. She was frightened. The eel started to charge her, and then...
And we're back where we were at the last moment we saw her. Buttercup frozen, the shrieking eel, jaws wide, about to clamp down as we cut to a giant arm pounding the eel unconscious in one move. Then easily lifting Buttercup. Pull back to reveal the boat and Fezzik, Buttercup being deposited on the deck. Put her down! Just put her down! Cut to Inigo, pointing behind them.
I think he's getting closer.
Vizzini tying Buttercup's hands. He's no concern of ours. Sail on! I suppose you think you're brave, don't you?
Only compared to some.
Dissolved, too. The boat at dawn, being followed closely by the black sailboat, which we can see for the first time is being sailed by a man in black. And his boat almost seems to be flying.
Look, he's right on top of us. I wonder if he's using the same wind we were using.
Whoever he is, he's too late. See? The Cliffs of Insanity! Once he said the name, cut to the Cliffs of Insanity. Dawn. They rise straight up, sheer from water, impossibly high. Cut to the two sailboats, in a wild chase for the cliffs, and the man in black is closing faster than ever, but not fast enough. The lead was too great to overcome, and as Inigo sails with great precision straight at the cliffs, cut to the boat being pursued. Hurry up! Move the thing! No, the other thing! Move it! We're safe. Only Fezzik is strong enough to go up our way. He'll have to sail around for hours till he finds a harbor. There is much activity going on, all of it swift, expert, economical. Fezzik reaches up along the cliff face, grabs a jutting rock, reaches behind it. Suddenly, there is a thick rope in his hands. He drops back to the boat, gives the rope a freeing swing, and cut to the cliffs. The rope goes all the way up to the top. Cut to Inigo, hurrying to Fezzik. He straps a harness to himself, then lifts Buttercup and Vizzini in the harness. Finally, he himself gets in the harness, and all three are strapped to Fezzik like papooses? And he starts to ascend the rope, carrying them all along with him as he goes. Cut to the man in black, sailing in toward the Cliffs of Insanity, watching as Fezzik rises swiftly through the first moments of dawn. Cut to the top of the cliffs, looking down. Fezzik's group is only faintly visible far below. This is the first time we've gotten a real vertigo feeling, and it's a gasper. Cut 2, Fezzik climbing on. Buttercup is almost out of her mind with fear. Cut 2, the entire length of the cliffs. Fezzik is moving right along, however high they are. He's already over a third of the way done. Cut 2, the man in black, leaping from his ship to the rope, starting to climb. He's impossibly far behind, but the way he goes, you'd think he didn't know that because he is flying up the rope, hand over hand like lightning. Cut 2, Vizzini and the others.
Climbing the rope, and he's gaining on us.
Inconceivable.
Oh my god.
That's Fezzik, who nods, increases his pace. Cut 2, the man in black, roaring up the rope. Cut 2, long shot, the cliffs, and the man in black is cutting deeply into Fezzik's lead. Cut 2, Vizzini and the others. Faster!
I thought I was going faster.
You're supposed to be this colossus! You were this great legendary thing! And yet he gains!
Well, I'm carrying 3 people, and he's got only himself.
I do not accept excuses! I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant, that's all!
Don't say that, Vizzini, please.
And his arms begin moving much more slowly. Cut 2, the man in black. His arms still work as before. If anything, he's speeded up. Fezzik's lead is smaller and smaller. Cut 2, the view from the top of the cliffs. Maybe 100 feet for Fezzik to go, maybe more. Cut 2, Vizzini and the other. And it's getting too close now. Did I make it clear that your job is at stake? Cut 2, the man in black is 100 feet behind them and gaining. Cut 2. The cliff as Vizzini makes it. Vizzini leaps off, takes out a knife. He begins to cut the rope, which is tied around a great rock, while Inigo helps the princess to her feet, and Fezzik just stands around, waiting for someone to tell him to do something. Nearby are some stone ruins. Once they might have been a fort, now they kind of resemble Stonehenge. To the man in black, feet from the top, maybe less, maybe only 50, and his face is as dazzling as before. Cut to Vizzini, cutting through the last of the rope, and cut to the rope, slithering across the ground and out of sight toward the channel, like some great serpent, at last going home. Cut to Fezzik, standing with Inigo and Buttercup by the cliff's edge.
He has very good arms.
Cut to the man in black, hanging suspended hundreds of feet in the air, holding the jagged rocks, desperately trying to cling to life. Cut to Vizzini, stunned, turning to the others, looking down. He didn't fall? Inconceivable!
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. My God, he's climbing.
Cut to the man in black. And so he is, very slowly. He is picking his way upward, sometimes a foot at a time, sometimes an inch. Cut to the group at the top, standing down. Whoever he is, he's obviously seen us with the princess and must therefore die. You, carry her. We'll start straight for the Gilder frontier. Catch up when he's dead. If he falls, fine. If not, the sword. Inigo nods.
I want to do him left-handed.
You know what a hurry we're in.
Well, the only way I can be satisfied if I use my right. But too quickly.
Oh, have it your way. Cut to the man in black, still creeping his way upward. Cut to Fezzik, who goes to Inigo.
You be careful. People in masks cannot be trusted.
I'm waiting! Fezzik nods, hurries after Vizzini. Cut to Inigo. He watches them depart, then turns, peers down over the cliffs. He watches a moment, then paces, shaking his hands loose. He practices a few of his honed fencing skills. He's a taut and nervous fellow, and he has never been one for waiting around. Cut to the man in black, climbing on. He must be 6 inches closer to the top than when we last saw him. Inigo is watching. Cut to Inigo, walking away. Finally, he goes back to the cliff edge, starts to talk. It's instant death if the man in black falls, but neither gives that possibility much credence. This is our 2 heroes meeting. They don't know it yet, but that's what it is.
Hello there.
The man in black glances up, kind of grunts.
Slow going?
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not as easy as it looks. So I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't distract me.
All right.
Inigo steps away, draws his sword, loosens up with a few perfect thrusts, then resheaths and looks eagerly over the edge again.
I don't know to speed things up.
If you're in such a hurry, you could lower a rope or a tree branch or find something useful to do.
I could do that. In fact, I got some rope up here, but I do not think you will accept my help since I'm only waiting around to kill you.
That does put a damper on our relationship.
He finds another boulder a few inches higher.
But I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting. But I'm just afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting. I could give my word to Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
And he just hangs there in space, resting, gathering his strength.
You don't know any way you'll trust me?
Nothing comes to mind.
On these words, camera zooms into a close-up on Inigo. He raises his right hand high, his eyes blaze, and his voice takes on a tone that we have not heard before.
I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, you will reach the top alive.
Cut to the man in black. There is a pause, then quietly.
Throw me the rope.
Cut to Inigo.
You just let go of the cliff.
Cut to Inigo. He dashes to the giant rock the rope was originally tied to. Cut to the man in black as his grip loosens a moment, trying to cling to the side of the cliff. Cut to Inigo. Now the small coil of rope hurries back to the edge and hurls it over. Cut to the rope. It hangs close to the man in black. He releases the rocks, grabs the rope, hangs helplessly in space a moment, then looks up at Inigo. And cut to Inigo, straining, forcing his body away from the cliff's edge, and cut to the man in black, rising through the early morning light, slowly, steadily. Cliff tops last comes within reach, cut to Inigo, watching as the man in black crawls to safety, then looks to Inigo.
Thank you.
We'll wait until you're ready.
Again, thank you.
The man in black sits to rest in the boulder that once held the rope. He tugs off his leather boots and is amazed to see several large rocks tumble out. The man in black wears gloves. Inigo stares at them.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance happen to have a six finger in your right hand.
He glances up. The question clearly.
You always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a six-fingered man. He was a great sword maker, my father, and when the six-fingered man appeared and requested a special sword, my father took the job. He slaved a year before it was done.
He hands his sword to the man in black.
Oh, I've never seen its equal.
Cut to a close-up of Inigo. Even now, this still brings pain.
The six-fingered man returned and demanded it, but at 1/10 his promised price. My father refused. Without a word, the six-fingered man slashed him through the heart. I loved my father, so, naturally, challenged his murder to a duel. I failed. The six-fingered man did leave me alive with the six-fingered sword, but he gave me these.
He touches his scars. Cut to the man in black looking up at Inigo.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old. When I was strong enough, I dedicated my life to the study of fencing. So the next time we meet, I will not fail. I'll go up to six-fingered man and say, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
You've done nothing but study swordplay.
More pursuit than study lately. You see, I cannot find him. It's been 20 years now, and I'm starting to lose confidence. I just work for Brazilian to pay the bills. There's not a lot of money in revenge.
Oh, I certainly hope you find him someday.
You're ready then?
Whether I am or not, you've been more than fair.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to die.
Begin.
And on that word, cut to the two of them. And what we are starting now is one of the greatest fights in modern movies. The other one happens later on. Right from the beginning, it looks different because they aren't close to each other. None of the sword crossing on guard garbage. No, what we have here is two men, two athletes, and they look to be too far away to damage each other. But each time one of them makes the tiniest feint, the other counters, and there is silence. And as they start to circle, cut to the six-fingered sword. Feinting here, feinting there, and cut to the two men, finish teasing, begin to duel in earnest. Their swords cross. Then again, and the sound comes so fast, it's almost continual. Inigo presses on, the man in black retreating up the rocky incline.
You're using Bonati's defense against me, yeah?
I thought it fitting considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally. You must expect me to attack with Capo Ferro.
And he shifts his style now.
Naturally. But I find Tybalt cancels out Capo Ferro, don't you?
The man in black is now perched at the edge of the elevated castle ruin. Nowhere to go, he jumps to the sand. Inigo stares down at him.
Unless the enemy is started his Agrippa.
And now, with the grace of an Olympian, Inigo flies off the perch, somersaults clean over the man in black's head, and lands facing his opponent.
Which I have.
The two men are almost flying across the rocky terrain, never losing their balance, never coming close to stumbling. The battle rages with incredible finesse. First one and then the other gaining the advantage, and by now it's clear that there isn't just two athletes going at it, it's a lot more than that. This is two legendary swashbucklers. They're in their prime. In the Crimson Pirate, battling Errol Flynn and Robin Hood, and then, incredibly, the action begins going even faster than before as we cut to Inigo. And behind him now, drawing closer all the time, is the deadly edge of the cliffs of insanity. Inigo fights, and ducks, and feints, and slashes, and it all works, but not for long, as gradually the man in black keeps the advantage. Keeps forcing Inigo back, closer and closer to death.
You are wonderful.
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
The cliff edge is very close now. Inigo is continually being forced toward it.
I admit it, you're better than I am.
Then why are you smiling?
Inches from defeat, Inigo is, in fact, all smiles.
Because I know something you don't know.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
And he throws the six-fingered sword into his right hand, and immediately the tide of the battle turns. Cut to the man in black, stunned, doing everything he can to keep Inigo from the cliff's edge. But no use. Slowly at first, he begins to retreat, now faster. Inigo is in control, and the man in black is desperate. Cut to Inigo, and the six-fingered sword is all but invisible now as he increases his attack, and suddenly switches styles again. Cut to a rocky staircase leading to a turret-shaped plateau, and the man in black is retreating like mad up the steps, and he can't stop Inigo. Nothing can stop Inigo. And in a frenzy, the man in black makes every feint, tries every thrust, lets go with all that he has left, but he fails. Everything fails. He tries one or two final desperate moves, but they are nothing.
You're amazing.
I ought to be after 20 years.
And now the man in black is smashed into a stone pillar, pinned with a six-fingered sword.
There's something I ought to tell you.
Tell me.
I'm not left-handed either.
And now he changes hands, and at last the battle is fully joined. Cut to Inigo, and to his amazement, he is being forced back down the steps. He tries one style, another, but it all comes down to the same thing. The man in black seems to be in control. Before Inigo knows it, the six-fingered sword is knocked clear out of his hand. Inigo retreats, dives from the stairs to the moss-covered bar suspended over the archway. He swings out, lands, and scrambles to his feet, and we cut to the man in black, who watches Inigo, then casually tosses his sword to the landing, where it sticks perfectly. Then the man in black copies Inigo. Not copies, exactly. Improves. But he dives to the bar, swings completely over it like a circus performer, and dismounts with a backflip. Cut to Inigo, standing in awe.
Who are you?
No one of consequence.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment.
Okay.
Cut to Inigo, moving like lightning, and he thrusts forward, slashes darts back in almost a single movement. And cut to the man in black, dodging, blocking, and again he thrusts forward faster even than before, and again he slashes. But cut to Inigo, and there is never a move anyone makes he doesn't remember. And this time he blocks the slash, slashes out himself with the six-finger sword. On it goes, back and forth across the rocky terrain, Inigo's feet moving with the grace and speed of a great improvisational dancer. Cut to the six-fingered sword, and it's knocked free, arching up into the air, and cut to Inigo catching it again. And something terrible is written behind his eyes. He has given his all, done everything a man can do, tried every style, made every maneuver, but it wasn't enough. And on his face, for all to see, is the realization that he, Inigo Montoya of Spain, is going to lose. Cut to the man in black. Moving in for the end now, blocking everything, muzzling everything, and cut to the six-fingered sword, sent flying from Inigo's grip. He stands helpless only a moment. Then he drops to his knees, bows his head, shuts his eyes.
Kill me quickly.
I would as soon destroy a stained glass window as an artist like yourself. However, since I can't have you following me either...
And he dunks Inigo's head with the very sword handle. Inigo pitches forward unconscious.
Please understand, I hold you in the highest respect.
Scabbard and takes off after the princess. And we cut to close-up of Vizzini. Inconceivable. Go back to reveal. Vizzini staring down from the narrow mountain path as far below the man in black can be seen running. Fezzik, carrying the princess, stands alongside. It's a little later in the morning. Give her to me. Catch up with us quickly.
What do I do?
Finish him.
Lights on first.
Your way.
Oh, good. My way. Thank you. Which way is that way?
Cut to a couple of rocks. Nothing gigantic. Vizzini points to them. There's a large boulder nearby. Pick up one of those rocks, get behind the boulder, and in a few minutes, the man in black will come running around the bend. The minute his head is in view, hit it with the rock! As Vizzini and Buttercup hurry away.
My way is not very sportsmanlike.
He grabs one of the rocks and plods behind the boulder, and we dissolve to the man in black, racing up the mountain trail. Ahead is a bend in the trail. He sees it, then he stops, listening. Satisfied by the silence, he starts forward again. As he rounds the bend, a rock flies in the frame, shattering on a boulder inches in front of him. Cut to Fezzik. He moves into the mountain path. He has picked up another rock and holds it light.
I did that on purpose. I don't have to miss.
Believe you. So what happens now?
We face each other, as God intended. Sportsmanlike, no tricks. No weapons. Skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your rock, I'll put down my sword, and we'll try to kill each other like civilized people?
I could kill you now.
He gets set to throw, but the man in black shakes his head, takes off his sword, and Scabbard begins the approach toward the giant.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor in fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest and strongest. I don't even exercise.
He flips the rock away.
All right.
Cut to the mountain path and the two men. The man in black is not now and has ever been a shrimp. But it's like he wasn't even there. Fezzik towers over him so much. There is a moment's pause, and then the man in black dives at Fezzik's chest, slams him several tremendous blows in the stomach, twists his arm severely, slips skillfully into a beautifully applied bear hug, and in general makes any of terrific wrestling moves. Fezzik just stands there, kind of taking in the scenery. Finally, the man in black pushes himself away, stares up at the giant.
Were you just fiddling around with me or what?
I just want you to feel you're doing well. I hate for people to die embarrassed.
They get set to begin again. Then suddenly, cut to Fezzik as he jumps forward with stunning speed for anyone his size and reaches for the man in black, who drops to his knees, spins loose and slips between the giant's leg.
You're quick.
And a good thing, too.
Why do you wear a mask? Were you burned with acid or something like that?
No, it's just that they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
COVID-19.
Fezzik considers this a moment, then attacks. And if he moved quickly last time, this time he is blinding, and as the man in black slips down to avoid the charge, Fezzik moves right with him. Only instead of twisting free and jumping to his feet, this time the man in black jumps for Fezzik's back. And in the moment he is riding him, and his arms have Fezzik's throat locked across Fezzik's windpipe, one in front and one behind. The man in black begins to squeeze tighter.
I just figured out why you give me so much trouble.
Cut to Fezzik, and he charges toward a huge rock that lines the path. And just as he reaches it, he spins his giant body so the entire weight of the charge is taken by the man in black. Cut to the man in black, and the power of the charge is terrible, the pain enormous, but he clings to his grip at Fezzik's windpipe.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person for so long. I've been specializing in groups, battling gangs for local charities, that kind of thing.
Pretty humanitarian.
Cut to another huge rock on the other side of the path. Again, Fezzik charges, slower this time, but still a charge. And again, he spins and creams the man in black against the rough boulder. Cut to the man in black. The punishment is terrible, and for a moment, it seems as he is going to let go of Fezzik's windpipe and crumble. But he doesn't. He holds on.
Why should that make such a difference?
Well, you see, you use different moves when you're fighting half a dozen people, when you only have to worry about one.
Again, Fezzik slams the man in black against the boulder. Only this time, his power has diminished and Fezzik starts to slowly collapse. Cut to Fezzik, and there isn't much breath coming. Cut to the man in black, holding his grip as Fezzik tries to stand. Halfway makes it, but there's no air back. Back to his knees, he falls, holds there for a moment, and pitches down to all fours. The man in black increases the pressure. Fezzik tries to crawl, but there is just no air. No air. Fezzik goes to earth and lies still. Cut to Fezzik as the man in black turns him over and puts his ear to Fezzik's heart. It beats. The man in black stands.
I don't envy you the headache you'll have when you awake. But in the meantime, rest well, mwah, and dream of large women.
As he nimbly scoops up his sword with his foot, catches it, and as he dashes off up along the mountain path, cut to Prince Humperdinck. He flips his boot into a footprint in the sand. Count Rugen, mounted, watches. Behind him, half a dozen armed warrior also mounted. A great white horse rides riderless in front. Humperdinck is all over the rocky ground, and maybe he isn't the best hunter in the world. Then again, maybe he is. Because as he begins to put his feet into the strange positions, we realize that what he is doing is miming the fencers.
There was a mighty duel. It ranged all over. They were both masters.
Who won? Who did it? Who did it? How did it end?
The loser ran off alone. The winner followed those footprints towards Gilda.
Shall we check them both?
The loser is a loser, so no. Only the princess matters now. Clearly, this was all planned by warriors of Gilda. Every single footprint. We must be ready for whatever lies ahead.
Could this be a trap?
I always think everything could be a trap, Which is why I'm still alive.
And he gallops off.
All right, cut to the men in black, cresting the peak of the mountain. Cut to close up on a knife pointed at her throat. Pull back to reveal Vicini munching on an apple, holding the knife to Buttercup's throat. She is blindfolded. A picnic spread is laid out, a tablecloth, 2 goblets, and between them a small leather wine container, and some cheese and a couple of apples. The picnic is set on a lovely spot, high on the edge of a mountain path, with a view all the way back to the sea. The man in black comes running around the path, sees Vicini, slows. The 2 men study each other. Then,
So, it's down to you, and it's down to me.
the man in black nods and comes nearer.
If you wish her dead, by all means, keep moving forward.
And he pushes his long knife harder against Buttercup's unprotected.
Let me explain.
There's nothing to explain. You're trying to kidnap what I have already rightfully stolen.
Perhaps an arrangement can be reached.
There will be no arrangement. And you are killing her.
Cut to Buttercup's throat. As Vicini jabs with his long knife, Buttercup gasps against the pain. Cut to the man in black, stopping fast.
But if there can be no arrangement, then we're at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart?
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes.
Morons!
Really? In that case, I challenge you to a battle of wits.
Huh. For the princess?
Uh-huh.
The death
Uh-huh.
I picked?
Good. Then pour the wine.
As Vicini fills the goblets with a dark red liquid, the man in black pulls a small packet from his clothing, handing it to Vicini.
Inhale this, but do not touch. Smell that, sorry.
I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called iocane powder. It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is one of the more deadlier poisons known to men.
Cut to Vicini, watching excitedly as the man in black takes the goblets, turns his back. A moment later, he turns again, faces Vicini, drops the iocane packet. It is now empty. The man in black rotates the goblets in a little shell game maneuver, then puts one glass in front of Vicini and the other in front of himself.
All right. Where's the poison? The battle of wits has begun. It ends when you decide, we both drink, and we find out who's right and who's dead.
Oh, snap.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put the poison in his own goblet or his enemies?
He studies the man in black now.
Now, a clever man would put the poison in his own goblet because he would know that only a great fool would reach for what he is given. I'm not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you must have known that I was not a great fool. You would have counted on it. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You've made your decision then?
Not remotely, because iocane comes from Australia, as everyone knows, and Australia is entirely peopled with criminals, and criminals are used to having people not trust them. So you are not trusted by me. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going. Where was I?
Australia.
Ah, yes, Australia. And you must have suspected that I would have known of the powder's origin, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You're just stalling now.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? You've beaten my giant, which means you are exceptionally strong. So you could have put the poison in your own goblet, trusting on your strength to save you. so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you've also bested my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you must have learned that man is mortal, so you would have put the poison as far from you as possible. So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
As Vicini's pleasure has been growing throughout, the man in black has been fast disappearing.
You're trying to trick me into giving something away. It won't work.
It has worked. You've given everything away. I know where the poison is.
Then make your choice.
I will, and I choose.
And suddenly he stops, points at something behind the man in black.
What in the world can that be?
Cut to the man in black, turning around, looking.
Where? I don't see anything.
Cut to Vicini, busily switching the goblets while the man in black has his head turned.
Oh, well, I could have sworn I saw something. No matter.
The man in black turns to face him again. Vicini starts to laugh.
What's so funny?
I'll tell you in a minute. First, let us drink. Me from my glass and you from yours.
And he picks up his goblet. The man in black picks up the one in front of him. As they both start to drink, Vicini hesitates a moment. Then, allowing the man in black to drink first, he swallows his wine.
Guessed wrong.
You only think I've guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. You fool.
Cut to the man in black. There's nothing he can say. He just sits there. Cut to Vicini, watching him.
You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia. But only slightly less well known is this. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
He laughs and roars and cackles and whoops.
Woo!
And is in all ways quite sure until he falls over dead. The man in black, stepping past the corpse, taking the blindfold and biting his off Buttercup, who notices Vicini lying dead. The man in black pulls her to her feet.
I'm no one to be trifled with. That is all you ever need know.
He starts to lead her off the mountain path into untraveled terrain.
Think, all that time it was your cup that was poisoned.
They were both poisoned. I spent the last few years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
And with that, he takes off, dragging her behind him. Cut to a mountain path. It's where Felix fought the man in black. Camera pulls back to reveal the prince, kneeling, inspecting every grain of misplaced sand. The others wait behind him.
Someone has beaten a giant. There will be great suffering in Gilda if she dies.
He leaps onto his horse and they charge off. Cut to a wild stretch of terrain. The man in black comes running into view, still dragging Buttercup, who sometimes stumbles, but he keeps forcing her along. Finally, when she is close to exhaustion, he lets go of her.
Catch your breath.
Release me. Whatever you ask for ransom, you'll get it. I promise you.
And what is that worth? The promise of a woman. You're very funny, Highness.
Sexist. I was giving you a chance. No matter where you take me, there's no greater hunter than Prince Humperdinck. Okay.
Yeah.
He could track a mountain on a cloudy day. He can find you.
You think your dearest love will save you?
I never said he was my dearest love. And yes, he will save me. That I know.
You admit to me you do not love your fiancé.
He knows I do not love him.
Are not capable of love is what you mean.
I have loved more deeply than a killer like yourself ever could dream of.
And the man in black cocks back a fist. Buttercup flinches, but does not retreat.
That was a warning, Highness. The next time my hand flies on its own. For where I come from, there are penalties when a woman lies.
Cut to Vicini's back. The picnic is spread as before. Camera pulls back to reveal the prince. The prince kneeling by the body as the others ride up. The prince grabs the empty poison packet, hands it to Rugen, after first sniffing it himself.
Iocane. I bet my life on it. And there are the princess's footprints. She is alive, or at least was an hour ago. If she is otherwise, when I find her, I will be very put out.
And as he vaults onto his horse and the all charge off. Cut to Buttercup, being spun into camera view, falling heavily as the man in black releases her. We are at the edge of an almost sheer ravine. The drop is sharp and severe. Below, the ravine floor is flat, but getting there would not be half the fun.
Rest, Highness.
I know who you are. Your cruelty reveals everything.
The man in black says nothing.
Red Pirate Roberts, admit it.
With pride. What can I do for you?
You can die slowly, cut into 1,000 pieces.
Hardly complimentary, Highness.
Close up of Buttercup, quietly now.
You killed my love.
Cut to the man in black, watching her closely.
Possible. I kill a lot of people. Who was this love of yours? Another prince like this one? Ugly, rich, scabby.
No, a farm boy, poor and perfect, with eyes like the sea after storm.
Cut to Buttercup. And probably, if she did not hate Robert so, there would be tears.
On the high seas, your ship attacked, and the dread pirate Roberts never takes prisoners.
I can't afford to make exceptions. Once word leaks out that a pirate has gone soft, people begin to disobey you. And then it's nothing but work, all the time.
My pain.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. I remember this farm boy of yours, I think. This would be, 5 years ago?
Buttercup nods.
Does it bother you to hear?
Nothing you can say will upset me.
He died well. That should please you. No bribe attempts or blubbering. He simply said, please. Please, I need to live. It was the please that caught my memory. I asked him what was so important for him. True love, he replied. And then he spoke of a girl of surpassing beauty and faithfulness. I can only assume he meant you. You should bless me for destroying him before he found out what you really are.
And what am I?
Faithfulness, he talked of, madam. Your enduring faithfulness. Now, tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to your prince that same hour? Or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
You mocked me once, never do it again. I died that day.
The man in black is about to reply as they stand there on the edge of the sheer ravine, but then something catches his attention as he stares at it briefly. Cut his point of view. The dust cloud caused by Humperdinck's horses is rising up into the sky. Cut to Buttercup. And while his attention is on the dust cloud rising high, she pushes him with all the strength she has.
You can die too for all I care.
Cut to the man in black, teetering on the ravine edge. For a moment, then he begins to fall. Down goes the man in black. Down, down, rolling, spinning, crashing always down toward the flat rock floor of the ravine. Cut to Buttercup, staring transfixed at what she has wrought. There is a long pause. She stands there, alone, as from far below the words come to her, drifting in the wind.
As you wish.
Oh, my sweet Wesley, what have I done?
And without a second thought or consideration of the dangers, she starts into the ravine. A moment later, she too is falling, spinning and twisting, crashing and torn, cartwheeling down toward what is left of her beloved. Cut to the dust cloud rising. Back to reveal Prince Humperdinck and the others reining in at the spot where Buttercup promised ransom in exchange for her freedom. The prince shakes his head.
Disappeared. He must have seen us closing in, which might account for his panicking in error. Unless I'm wrong, and I am never wrong, they are headed dead into the fire swamp.
Cut 2, Count Rugen. The mere mention of the fire swamp makes him pale. Cut 2, the ravine floor. 2 bodies lie a few feet apart, not moving. It is, of course, Buttercup and Wesley. They might be corpses. After a time, Wesley slowly forces his body into motion, and as he does, cut to Buttercup, bruised and torn, as Wesley crawls slowly toward her.
Can you move at all?
Move. No. If you want, I can fly.
I told you I would always come for you. Why didn't you wait for me?
Well, you were dead.
Death cannot stop true love. All I can do is delay it for a while.
Whoa. I will never do it again.
There will never be a need.
And now they begin to kiss. It's a tender kiss. Tender and loving and gentle. And
Oh no!
Oh,
Please!
Cut 2, the kid's bedroom.
what is it? What's the matter?
I lost the script. They're kissing again. Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Someday, you may not mind it so much.
Grandpa?
On to the fire swamp. That sounds good.
Oh, you're sick. I'll humor
In more than one way.
Yes.
you. Now, where were we here? Yes. Okay. Wesley and Buttercup raced along the ravine floor.
Cut 2,
Cut two.
Buttercup. Racing along the ravine floor. Wesley glances up. Cut 2, Humperdinck and his men.
Ah!
On top of the cliff, looking down at Wesley and Buttercup. Up to Wesley.
Ha! Your pig fiance is too late. A few more steps and we'll be safe in the fire swamp.
Cut 2, Buttercup. And Wesley has tried to say it with a chevalier-like nonchalance.
Dahlia.
Wesley has tried to say it with a chevalier-like nonchalance. But she ain't buying.
We'll never survive.
Nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
They race off, leaving Humperdinck and his men stranded, defeated. Cut 2, the fire swamp. And it really doesn't look any worse than any other moist, sulfurous, infernal horror you might run across. Great trees block the sun. Cut 2, Wesley and Buttercup. Buttercup is clearly panicked, and maybe Wesley is too, but he moves jauntily along, sword in hand.
It's not that bad. I'm not saying I'd like to build a summer home here, but the trees are actually quite lovely.
The giant trees, thick and black-green, look ominous as hell, and they shield all but intermittent strips of sun.
Ominous trees.
A giant spurt of flame leaps up, preceded by a slight popping sound, and this particular spurt of flame misses Wesley, but Buttercup is suddenly on fire. At least the lower half of her is, and cuts to Wesley, instantly forcing Buttercup to sit, gathering her flaming hem in his hands, doing his best to suffocate the fire. This isn't all that easy, and it causes him a bit of grief, but he does his best to sound as jaunty as before.
Well, now, that was an adventure.
He examines where the flames burst over her.
Yeah, singed a bit, were you?
You?
He was, and he shakes his head no, as he pulls her to her feet. Cut to the swamp floor, and as there's another popping sound, cut to Wesley grabbing Buttercup, pulling her aside to safety as another great spurt of flame suddenly shoots up.
Well, one thing I will say. The fire swamp certainly does keep you on your toes.
Buttercup is frozen with fear. He takes her hand, gently leads her forward as we cut to the two of them, moving slowly along through a particularly dangerous part of the fire swamp. It's later now. The sun slants down at the slightly different angle.
This will all soon be but a happy memory, because Robert's ship Revenge is anchored at the far end, and I, as you know, am Roberts.
How is that possible? Since he's been marauding 20 years and you only left me 5 years ago.
I myself am often surprised at life's little quirks.
There's again a popping sound, then a huge spurt of flame. Wesley simply picks up Buttercup and they walk along. Moves her out of danger, puts her back down, goes right on talking without missing a beat.
You see, what I told you before about saying please was true. It intrigued Roberts, as did my descriptions of your beauty.
Cut to some hideous vines. They look like they could be flesh-eating. Wesley takes his sword, slices a path for them to follow. The vines groan as they fall. He's been chatting away the entire time.
Finally, Roberts decided something. He said, "All right, Wesley, I've never had a valet. You can try it for tonight. I'll most likely kill you in the morning." 3 years he said that. "Good night, Wesley. Good work. Sleep well. Mwah. I'll most likely kill you in the morning." It was a fine time for me. I was learning to fence, to fight, anything anyone would teach me. And Roberts and I eventually became friends. And then it happened.
What? Huh?
Wesley picks her up, carrying her across some swamp water that is bridged by a narrow, rickety tree branch.
Well, Roberts had grown so rich he wanted to retire. So he took me to his cabin and told me his secret. "I am not the Dread Pirate Roberts," he said. "My name is Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
I inherited this ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit it from me. The man I inherited it from was not the real Dread Pirates either. His name was Cummerbund. The real Roberts has been retired 15 years and living like a king in Patagonia." Then he explained the name was the important thing for inspiring the necessary fear. You see, no one would surrender to the Dread Pirate Wesley.
The two of them have by now crossed the pond.
So we sailed ashore, took on an entirely new crew, and he stayed aboard for a while as first mate, all the time calling me Roberts. Once the crew believed, he left the ship, and I've been Roberts ever since. Except, now that we're together, I shall retire and hand the name over to someone else. Is everything clear to you?
Buttercup, perplexed, is about to reply, but the ground she steps on gives way. It's lightning sand, a great patch of it, and it has her. A cloud of powder rises as she sinks into the stuff, crying Wesley's name. Then she is gone as we cut to Wesley whirling. Flashing at a U-shaped vine, hacks it in half. It's still connected to the tree. Then he grabs it, drops his sword, and clutching the other end of the vine, he dives into the lightning sand. And there is another cloud of white powder, but it settles quickly. Now nothing can be seen. Nothing at all. Just the lightning sand. Lovely and lethal. Hold on the lightning sand. An odd panting sound is heard now. The panting sound is suddenly very loud. And then a giant ROUS starts into view. The ROUS, a rodent of unusual size, is probably no more than 80 pounds of bone and power. It sniffs around a bit. Then, as quickly as it comes, it goes. Cut to the lightning sand as Wesley lungs long past the bursting point, explodes out. He has picked up a his shoulder, and as he pulls to the edge of the lightning sand pit using the vine. Cut to a close-up of Buttercup. His face is caked with the white powder. Her eyes, hair, mouth, she's still probably beautiful, but you have to work hard to see.
Oh boy.
As Wesley continues to pull them to safety. Cut to
Just a mud mask, it's fine.
Cut to Buttercup, placed against a tree. Wesley is cleaning the lightning sand from her face. He hesitates, glances around, and cut to the ROUS as on a much lower branch now. It stares down at Wesley. Wesley stares back up at the beast. Buttercup is oblivious. Her eyes flutter.
Never succeed. We may as well die here.
No, we have already succeeded.
Vince is back again. Now there are 2 ROUSs that are pinned into a nearby tree. Stare hungrily down. Cut to Wesley, picking her up. He puts an arm around her, starts to walk with her as he encouragingly goes on talking.
I mean, what are the 3 terrors of the fire swamp? 1, the flaming spurts. No problem. There's a popping sound preceding each. We can avoid that. 2, the lightning sand. But you were clever enough to discover what that looks like, so in the future we can avoid that too.
Wesley, what about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
As he said that, birds of unusual size come flying at him from off screen. Buttercup screaming and Wesley the attacking ROUS, trying to fend it off. The thing's teeth sink deep into his arms. He howls.
Owie!
Wesley drives a fist into the beast's face, rolling it off. He reaches for his sword just a few feet away, but the ROUS is back atop him. It's a fierce battle, and just when we think Wesley can't possibly win, he flips the ugly rodent clear. Wesley scrambles for the sword. The ROUS stampedes on, changing its target, heading right for Buttercup, and she's scared to death, and... Wesley abandons his sword, reaching for the rodent, grabbing only a tail, wrestling with it. Buttercup grabs a small branch and using it as a club, beats the skull of the thing, doing pretty well. The beast manages to snag her hem with its razor teeth, and she's pulled to the ground. Cut to Wesley, jumping onto its back, and the ROUS is all over him now, sinking its needle teeth into Wesley's shoulders. Cut to Wesley, with death close at hand, as a popping sound starts. He tries one desperate move, rolls into the sound. Cut to a flame spurt, shooting skyward, and cut to Wesley with the ROUS pinned under him, and as the beast bursts into flame, it lets go and Wesley rolls safely free, grabs a sword, and exhaustedly stabs the ROUS, which is trying to put itself out. The ROUS collapses dead. Wesley stands motionless, exhausted. The danger has passed. Cut to Buttercup, relieves. Dissolve to the far edge of the fire swamp, beyond a beach. Cut to Buttercup and Wesley.
Did it!
Now, was that so terrible?
And from somewhere, they summon strength, pick up their pace. As they reach the edge of the fire swamp, cut to something we hadn't expected. Humperdinck on his horse, Rugen beside him. 3 warriors armed and ready are mounted in formation behind. Buttercup and Wesley are at the edge of the fire swamp, about to leave it. They stop. Buttercup looks beyond exhaustion. Wesley looks worse.
Surrender!
It's dusk. Behind Humperdinck are the waters of the bay. Cut to Wesley and Buttercup, staring out at the others.
I mean, you wish to surrender to me? Very well, I accept.
I give you full marks for bravery. Don't make yourself a fool.
Ah, but how will you capture us? We know the secrets of the fire swamp. We can live there quite happily for some time, so whenever you feel like dying, feel free to visit.
I'll tell you once again, surrender.
It will not happen.
Cut to Buttercup, looking from one to the other. Then something else catches her eye, and we cut to an armed warrior in shadow with a loaded crossbow aimed at Wesley's heart. Cut to Buttercup, looking the other way. Cut to another warrior, crossbow aimed at Wesley.
For the last time, surrender!
Death first!
Cut to Buttercup, frantically staring around. And now, cut to a third warrior, crossbow stretched, ready to shoot. This one is hidden in a tree, blocking any escape Wesley might try.
Promise not to hurt him.
Cut to Wesley whirling to face her.
What was that?
Cut to Buttercup talking to them both.
If we surrender, and I promise with you, will you, and I return to you, you promise not to hurt this man.
May I live 1,000 years and never hunt again.
He is sailor on a pirate ship. Revenge. Promise to return him to his ship.
I swear it shall be done.
Cut to Buttercup and Wesley staring deep into each other's eyes. Humperdinck and Rugen.
Once we're out of sight, take him back to Floyd and throw him in the pit of despair.
I swear it shall be done.
I thought you were dead once, and it almost destroyed me. I could not bear it if you died again, not when I could save you.
Wesley is dazed, silent. Buttercup tries to speak again. Can't, and is swooped off her feet onto Humperdinck's horse, and off they go. Cut to Wesley staring after her. Rugen watches as his warriors bring Wesley to him. The Count has a heavy sword, and he holds it in his hand.
Come, sir, we must get you to your ship.
We are men of action. Lies do not become us.
Well spoken, sir.
Wesley is looking at him.
What is it?
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
Count Rugen clubs Wesley hard across the skull. Wesley starts to fall. The screen goes black. And where did... Do it, everyone.
Becca!
Becca!
Straight in on the pit of despair. Dang. Am I right, Ukes? And chill. Am I right, Ukes? Underground. Am I right, Ukes? And windowless. Am I right, millennials? Lit by flickering torches. Frightening. Wesley lies in the center of the cage, chained and helpless. Cut to something really frightening. A bloodless-looking albino. Dead pale, he silently enters the pit, carrying a tray of food and medication. He puts it down.
Where am I?
The pit of despair.
He begins tending Wesley's wounds. Wesley winces.
Don't even think about trying to escape. The chains are far too thick, and don't dream of being rescued either. The only way in is secret, and only the prince, the count, and I know how to get in and out.
And I'm here till I die?
To kill you, yeah.
Then why bother caring?
The prince and the count always insist on everyone being healthy before they're broken.
So, it's to be tortured.
The albino nods.
I can cope with torture.
The albino shakes his head.
You don't believe me?
You survived the fire swamp. You must be very brave. But nobody withstands the machine.
He studies Wesley, whose face is almost sad. Cut to Buttercup. Her face is sad. Pallid, perhaps. She wanders down the corridor of the Florin Castle. As she moves unseeing past an intersecting corridor. Cut to Prince Humperdinck and Count Rugen watching her.
She's been like that ever since the fire swamp. It's my father's failing health that's upsetting her, no doubt.
Unbelievable.
Narrator.
Did you not say it?
Of course.
After the commercial break.
As they move on, cut to Florin Castle, night. Camera holds on it while we hear the grandfather's voice reading.
The king died that very night. And before the following dawn, Buttercup and Humperdinck were married.
Cut to main square of Florin Castle. And if we thought it was packed before, we didn't know how many more people could fit in this courtyard. Humperdinck, Rugen, and the Queen stand high on the balcony.
And at noon, she met her subjects again, this time as their queen.
My father's final words were, final, saying, my father's final,
Hold it! Grandpa!
And the scene freezes. Humperdinck caught in mid-sentence. Cut to the kid's room. The kid is half sitting now. Not strong yet, but clearly stronger than when we first saw him.
You read that wrong. She doesn't marry Humperdinck. She marries Wesley. I'm just sure of it. After all that Wesley did for her, and if she doesn't marry him, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written? Life isn't always fair.
I'm telling you, you're messing it up. The story. Now get it right.
Do you want me to get on with this?
Yes.
All right, then. No more interruptions. Let's see here. At noon, she met her subjects again, this time as their queen.
my father's final word. Love her as I present to you my Queenie Pooh. Queen Buttercup. Cut to the crowd, and it's gigantic. Cut to the archway, as we saw before, as Buttercup. Cut to the crowd, suddenly going to its knees. Wave after wave of silent, kneeling people. It's just like a wave. All of them bowing down. Cut to Buttercup, touched as before, but then she seemed stunned as we cut to the crowd. Someone booing! The booing gets louder. As an ancient woman approaches Buttercup through the crowd, booing every step of the way.
Why this?
Because you had love in your hands and you gave it up.
I've killed Wesley if I had done it.
Your true love lives and you marry another. True love saved her in the fire swamp and she treated it like garbage. And that's what she is, the queen of refuse. So bow down to her if you want. Bow to her. Bow to the queen of slime, the queen of filth, the queen of putrescence. Boo! Boo! Rubbish! Filth! Slime! Muck! Boo! Boo!
She advances on Buttercup now, who is more and more panicked. Close up, the ancient booer. Louder and louder and louder! A big word I don't know. Reaching out her old hands towards Buttercup's throat. And Buttercup is as frightened now as Dorothy was when the witch went in after her and the Wizard of Oz. And suddenly, cut to Buttercup coming out of the nightmare, alone in her castle bedroom, as she frantically grabs a rope and starts to run.
It was 10 days till the wedding. The king still lived, but Buttercup's nightmares were growing steadily worse.
See, I Didn't I tell you she never married that rotten Humperdinck?
Yes, you're very smart. Now shut up.
Cut to Buttercup. Bursting into the prince's chambers, Count Rugen stands nearby.
It comes to this. I love Wesley. I always have. I now know I always will. If you tell me I must marry you in 10 days, please believe I will be done by morning.
Cut to Prince Humperdinck, just stunned. Finally, softly, he begins to talk.
I could never cause you grief. Consider our wedding off. You return this Wesley to his ship,
Yes.
and we will simply alert him. Beloved, are you certain he still wants you? After all, it was you who did the leaving in the fire swamp. Not to mention that pirates are not known to be men of their words.
My Wesley will always come for me.
I suggest a deal. You write 4 copies of a letter. I'll send my four fastest ships, 1 in each direction, because there are only 4 directions. The dread pirate Robert is always close to shore this time of year. We'll write up the white flag and deliver your message. If Wesley wants you, bless you both. If Wesley does not, please consider me as an alternative. Do so as Are we agreed?
And she lies. Cut to a very thick grove of trees. The trees are unusual in one respect. All of them are extraordinarily heavily knotted. Pull back to reveal Humperdinck and Rugen walking into the trees.
Your princess is really a winning creature. A trifle simple, perhaps, but her appeal is undeniable.
Oh, I know. The people are quite taken with her. It's odd, but when I heard Vizzini to have her murdered on her engagement day, I thought that was rather clever. It's going to be so much more moving when I strangle her on her. What? Our wedding night. Once Gilder is blamed, the nation will be truly outraged. They'll demand we go to war.
They are deeper into the grove now. Rugen is searching around.
Now, where is that secret knot? It's impossible to find. Are you coming into the pit? Wesley's got his strength back. I'm not starting on him on the machine tonight.
Tyrone, you must know how much I love watching you work. But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped, like the swamp of despair.
Get some rest. You haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
Rugen smiles and hurries down the stairs. The trees fly back perfectly into place. Cut to an enormous thing. We can't quite tell what it is or what it does, but somehow it is unsettling. Pull back to reveal Count Rugen dragging Wesley up alongside the thing. Levers and wheels and wires, you name it, it's there.
Beautiful, isn't it?
The albino starts attaching suction cups to Wesley.
It took me half a lifetime to invent. I'm sure you've discovered my deep and abiding interest in pain. At present, I'm writing a definitive on the subject, so I want you to be totally honest with me on how the machine makes you feel.
Cut to a dial with numbers ranging from a low of 1 to a high of 50. Rugen goes to it.
This being our first try, I'll use the lowest setting.
He turns the dial to 1. Cut to Wesley. He has suction cups on his head now, on his temple, and on his heart. He says nothing, keeps control of himself. Cut 2, Count Rugen fiddling with his machine a moment more, and then he opens the floodgate. Water pours down the chute, turning the wheel, which in turn really gets the machine going. Cut 2, Wesley, and he's lying on the table, and he's only flesh, and the chains are metal and thick, and such is his desperation. It almost seems he might break them. A terrible sound comes from his throat. An incessant gasping. It keeps on coming as we finally cut to Count Rugen. He switches off the machine, picks up a large notebook and pen, sits in a chair. The noise of the machine subsides. Rugen opens the book to a blank page.
The concept of the suction pump is centuries old. Well, really, that's all it is, except instead of sucking water, I'm sucking life. I've just sucked 1 year of your life away. I might one day go as high as 5. But really, I don't know what that would start with what we have. Tell me, and remember, this is for posterity, so be honest. How do you feel?
And now, at last, cut to Wesley, in anguish so deep it is dizzying. Helpless, he cries. Count Rugen watches the tears, then starts to write.
Interesting.
Cut to Humperdinck, in his quarters. Swamped, piles of papers are strewn all over. Now Yellen, a pale, quick-eyed man, appears in the doorway.
Yellen!
Sire,
I trust you with this secret. Killers from Gildar are infiltrating the Thieves' Forest and plan to murder my bride on our wedding night.
my spy network has heard no such news.
Yeah.
Cut to Buttercup entering.
Any word from Wesley?
Cut to the prince and Yellen, turning to her in the doorway.
Too soon, my angel. Patience.
He will come for me.
But of course,
As she glides out.
she will not be murdered. On the day of the wedding, I want the Thieves' Force empty and every inhabitant arrested.
Many of the thieves will resist. My regular enforcers will be inadequate.
Form a brute squad then. I want the Thieves' Force empty before I wed.
It won't be easy, sire.
Try ruling the world sometime, am I right?
The thieves are being rounded up by the brute squad. A large group of large men. Yellen stands on a wagon in the midst of all the scuffling.
The day of the wedding arrived. The brute squad had their hands full carrying out Humperdinck's orders. Is everybody out?
Almost. There's a Spaniard giving us some trouble.
Well, you give him some trouble. Move.
And his wagon starts, and it does. Cut to Inigo, drunk as a skunk, sprawled in front of a hovel, a bottle of in one hand, six-fingered sword in the other. He looks dreadful, unshaven, puffy-eyed, gaunt. But the way he brandishes the great sword in front of him would give anyone cause for worry.
I'm waiting for you, Vistani. You told me to go back to the beginning. So I have. This is where I am. This is where I will stay. I'll not be moved.
Takes one pour from his brandy bottle. He stops as the assistant brute comes into view.
Ho there!
I do not budge. You keep your hole there.
He waves his sword dangerously.
But the prince gave orders.
So did Vicini. When a job went wrong, you went back to the beginning. And this is where I got the job. So that's the beginning. And I'm staying here till Vicini come.
You brute, come here.
I'm waiting for Vicini.
Surely are a meanie.
Inigo feels a hand on his back, a huge hand. He compares it to his own smaller hand.
Hello.
It's you.
True.
As the assistant brute is just about to club Inigo's brains out, Fezzik lets fly with a stupendous punch. The assistant brute takes the full force of the blow right in the chops. It's like he was shot from a cannon as he careens backwards out of sight across the street. There's a pause, then a crunching sound as he clearly has come in contact with something hard and immobile. Fezzik puts Inigo down.
You don't look so good. You don't smell so good either.
Perhaps not. I feel fine.
Yeah?
And so Fezzik puts Inigo down. That's when Inigo faints, and as he does, cut to an empty alehouse in the thieves' quarters. Inigo sits slumped
Watch
in
my voice.
Fezzik spoons him some stew.
Fezzik and Indigo were reunited, and as Fezzik nursed his inebriated friend back to health, he told Inigo of Vicini's death and the existence of Count Rugen, the six-fingered man. Considering Inigo's lifelong search, he handled the news surprisingly well.
And he faints again into his stool. Cut to two large tubs, one filled with steamy water, the other with water clearly of an icy nature. Without a word, Fezzik stuffs Inigo's face head into the icy water, then after a reasonable amount of time, pulls him out, ducks him into the steaming stuff, and a short time after that, puts him back in the cold again, then back in the hot.
Fezzik took great care in reviving Inigo.
That's enough. That's enough. Where is this Rugen? So I may kill him.
He's with the prince in the castle, but the castle gate's guarded by 30 men.
How many could you handle?
I don't think more than 10.
Leaving 20 for me. My best, I could never defeat that many. Maybe Vicini need a plan. I have no gift for strategy.
But Vicini's dead.
Cut to the two of them, silent and bereft. Then a wild look hits Inigo.
No, not Vicini. I need the man in black.
What?
Look, he bested you with strength, your greatness. He bested me with steel. He must have outthought Vicini. And a man that can do that can play in a castle slot any day. Let's go.
Where?
To find the man in black, obviously.
But you don't know where he is.
Don't bother me with the trifles. In 20 years at last, my father's soul will be at peace.
Cut to close-up of Inigo.
There will be blood tonight.
Cut to Prince Humperdinck, strewn with maps, etc., yelling anchors and needles.
Rise and report.
The thieves' force is emptied. 30 men guard the castle gates.
Double it. My princess must be safe.
The gate has but one key, and I carry that.
He shows the key, dangling from a chain around his neck. Just at that moment, Buttercup enters.
Ah, my dulcet darling, tonight we marry. Tomorrow morning, your men will escort us to Florin Channel, where every ship in my
Armada.
waits to accompany us on our honeymoon.
Every ship, but your four fastest, do you mean?
The prince looks at her blankly for a moment.
Yeah. Of course. Naturally. Not those four.
Cut to Buttercup staring at Humperdinck.
You never said the ships. Don't bother lying, it doesn't matter. Wesley will come for me anyway.
I'm a silly girl.
Yes, I am a silly girl for not having seen sooner that you were nothing but a coward with a heart full of fear.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Why not? You can't hurt me. Wesley and I are joined by the bond of love, and you cannot track that. Not with 1,000 bloodhounds, and you cannot break it. Not with 1,000 swords. And when I say you are a coward, that is only because you are the slimiest weakling ever to crawl the earth.
Cut to Humperdinck jumping at her, yanking her by the hair, starting to pull her along out of control, his words indistinct. The prince throws open the door to Buttercup's room, slams it shut, locks it, breaks into a wild run, and cut to Wesley in the machine, but it's not on. Count Rugen is adding more notes to his book. He looks up as the prince suddenly comes down the steps, raging.
You truly love each other, and so you might have been truly happy. Not one couple in a century has that chance, no matter what the storybooks say. And so I think no man in a century will suffer as greatly as you will.
And with that, he whirls, turns the machine, grabs the lever, and cut to Count Rugen calling out.
Not to 50!
But it's too late, and we cut to Prince Humperdinck shoving the lever all the way up. Cut to Wesley's face, and there has never been such pain. The pain grows, and with it now, something the death scream. As the death scream starts to rise, cut to outside the pit of despair, as the sound moves along louder and louder, and cut to Yellen and his 60 brutes. And they bear it, and a few of the brutes turn to each other in fear, and as the scream builds, cut to Buttercup in her room, and she hears the sound, doesn't know what it is, but her arms involuntarily go around her body to try and control the trembling, and the screams still build. And cut to establishing shot across the river. There are many people. It is the day of the country's 500th anniversary, but all the people stop as the sound hits them. A few children, pale, bolt towards their parents, and cut to Inigo and Fezzik, trying to make their way through the jammed marketplace, which suddenly quiets as the fading sound comes through. Fezzik. Oh,
Is that what it is? Fezzik.
Yeah. I think you have.
I think it's my line, right?
It is.
Listen, do you hear? That is the sound of ultimate suffering. My heart made that sound when Rugen slaughtered my father. The man in black makes it now.
The man in black?
His true love is marrying another tonight. So who else has a cause of ultimate suffering? Excuse me.
It's too crowded.
Pardon me. It's important.
No one budges, and the sound is fading faster.
Fezzik, please.
Everybody move!
The crowd begins to fall away, and he and Inigo start to track the fading sound.
Thank you.
Cut to a grove of trees near the pit of despair. The albino appears wheeling a barrow. Inigo's sword pushes at his chest.
Where is the man in black?
The albino shakes his head, says nothing.
You get there from this grove, yes?
Silence.
Fezzik, jog his memory.
And Fezzik crunches the albino on top of the head as if he had a hammer and was driving in a nail. The albino drops without a sound.
Sorry, Inigo? I didn't mean to jog him so hard. Inigo?
Cut to Inigo. He kneels, the sword held tight between his hands, eyes closed. He faces the grove of trees, starts to talk, his voice low and strange.
Father, I have fared you for 20 years. Now a misery commenced. Somewhere close by is a man who can help us. And I'll find him alone. I need you. I need you to guide my soul. Please.
And now he rises, eyes still closed.
Guide my sword.
Cut to the trees as Inigo, eyes shut tight, walks forward, the great sword held in his hands. Fezzik, frightened, follows close behind. Cut to the secret knot that reveals the staircase. Cut to Inigo, walking blind through the grove of trees. He moves to the secret knot, hesitates, then moves past it. Then Inigo stops. For a long moment, he stands frozen. Suddenly, he whirls, eyes still closed, and the sword strikes home, dead center, into the knot. And nothing. He has failed. In utter despair, he collapses against the tree, against a knot in the tree, against the knot in the tree. It slides away, revealing the staircase. Fezzik and Inigo look at each other, then start down. Cut to Wesley, dead in the machine. Fezzik leans over him, listening for a heartbeat. Then he looks at Inigo, shakes his head.
Hang on.
He's dead.
Lost my place. It's just not fair.
Inigo's in despair. For a moment, he just sags.
Grandpa, wait!
Cut to the kid's room. He is terribly excited and looks stronger than we've yet seen him.
Wait! Did Fezzik mean he's dead? I mean he didn't mean dead.
The grandfather says nothing, just sits there.
Wesley's only faking it, right?
You want me to read this or not?
Cut to kid, close up.
Who gets Humperdinck?
I don't understand.
Well, who kills Prince Humperdinck? In the end, at the end, somebody's got to do it. Is it Inigo? Who?
Nobody. Nobody kills him. He lives.
You mean he wins? Jesus, Grandpa. What do you read this thing for?
And he desperately fights for control.
You know, you've been very sick, and you're taking this story very seriously. I think we better stop now.
He closes the book and starts to get up.
No, I'm okay. Just sit down, all right?
Okay. All right. Now, let's see. Where were we? Ah, the pit of despair.
Cut to Inigo in despair. We're back in the pit, the same shot as before. For a moment, he just sags.
Well, Mementories have never taken defeat easily. Come along, Fezzik, bring the body.
Body?
Have you any money?
I have a little.
Just hope it's enough to buy a miracle, that's all.
Fezzik takes the corpse, follows Inigo up the stairs.
Cut to a hovel, dusk. Inigo, Fezzik, Wesley approach the door. They knock. From inside the hovel, a little man's voice is heard. If Mel Brooks, your old man, was really old, he resembled this guy.
Go away!
Inigo pounds again.
What?
Are you the Miracle Max who worked for the king all those years?
The king's stinking son fired me. And thank you so much for bringing up such a painful subject. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice all over it? We're closed.
He shuts the window. They rap on the door.
Beat it or I'll call the brute squad, all right?
I'm on the brute squad.
Well, you are the brute squad.
We need a miracle. It's very important.
Look, I'm retired. And besides, why would you want someone the king stinking son fired? I might kill whoever you wanted me to miracle.
He's already dead.
He is, huh? I'll take a look. Bring him in.
He unlocks the door and lets him in. Cut to Inigo and Fezzik. Hurrying inside, Fezzik carries Wesley, who is just starting to stiffen up a little. He lays Wesley down across the bench by the fireplace, picks Wesley's arms up, and lets it drop a limb.
I've seen worse.
He studies Wesley a moment, checking here, checking there.
Sir, we're in a terrible rush.
Don't rush me, Sonny. You rush a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. You got money?
65?
Sure what you got.
I never worked for so little, except once, and that was a very noble cause.
This is noble, sir. His wife is crippled. His children are on the brink of starvation.
You are a rotten liar.
I need him to help avenge my father. Murdered these 20 years.
Your first story was better. Oh, where's the bellows? He probably owes you money, huh? Well, I'll ask him.
He's dead. He can't talk.
Ooh, look who knows so much. Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please open his mouth.
Indigo does. Max inserts the bellows in Wesley's mouth and starts to pump.
Now, mostly dead is slightly alive. Now, all dead, well, with all dead, there's usually only one thing you can do.
What's that?
He stops pumping.
Go through his clothes and look for loose change.
He starts pumping again.
Hey, hello in there. Hey, what's so important? What have you got here that's worth a living for?
And he presses lightly on Wesley's chest. Everybody stares at Wesley lying there on the bench.
True love. You heard him. You could not ask for a more noble cause than that.
Sonny, true love is the greatest thing in the world, except for a nice MLT, a mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, where the mutton is nice and lean and the tomato is ripe. Oh, that's so perky. I love that. And that's not what he said. He distinctly said, to blov. And as we all know, to blov means to bluff. So you're probably playing cards and he cheated.
Liar! Liar!
Valerie, an ancient fury, storms out of the back room and towards...
Fury.
Get back, witch!
I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. But after you said what you said, I'm not even sure I want to be that anymore.
Never had it so good.
True love. He said true love. Love, Max, my goodness.
Don't say another word, Valerie.
He's afraid. Ever since Prince Humperdinck fired him, his confidence is shattered.
Why did you say that name? You promised me that you would never say that name.
What? Humperdinck? Oh, Humperdinck? Ooh, Humperdinck?
I'm not listening.
Life expiring and you don't have the decency to say why you won't help.
Nobody's hearing nothing.
Humperdinck? Oh, Humperdinck.
But this is Buttercup's true love.
Humperdinck.
If you hear him, he will stop Humperdinck's wedding.
Wait. I make him better and Humperdinck suffers?
Humiliations galore.
Oh, now that is a noble cause. Give me the 65. I'm on the job.
And as Valerie shrieks excitedly, we cut to this lump. It is somewhat smaller than a tennis ball. Pull back to reveal Max and Valerie, exhausted, looking at the lump with beatific pleasure as Valerie, cooking utensil in hand, covers the thing with what looks like chocolate. Inigo and Fezzik stare at the thing too, but more dubiously.
That's a miracle pill.
Mm-hmm.
Max nods.
The chocolate coating makes it go down easier, but you have to wait 15 minutes for full potency, and you shouldn't go swimming after for at least what?
An hour.
Yeah, an hour.
And Inigo accepts the pill as Fezzik takes Wesley, who is stiff as a board now.
Thank you for everything.
Okay.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye.
Bye.
And as they wave, trying to look happy, we cut to Fezzik, Inigo, and Wesley. On the top of the outer wall of the castle, they look down to the front gate of the castle. The 60 brutes are invisible. Fezzik is thunderstruck by how many brutes there are. Upset, he turns to Inigo, who is concentrating unsuccessfully, trying to pop Wesley against the wall. Pop Wesley against the wall.
Inigo, there's more than 30.
What's the difference? We got him. Help me here. We have to force feed him.
Has it been 15 minutes?
We can't wait. The wedding's in half an hour. We must strike in the hustle and bustle beforehand.
During this, Physic, using all his strength, has managed to get Wesley into a right-angled sitting position while Inigo brings out the miracle pill.
Tilt his head back, open his mouth.
How long do we have to wait before we know if the miracle works?
Cuts to Inigo. Pill in hand, he drops it into Wesley's mouth.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll beat you both apart. I'll take you both at once.
Just not very long.
Inigo and Fezzik react. Wesley is the only one not amazed.
Why won't my arms move?
He sits there, immobile, like a ventriloquist dummy.
You've been mostly dead all day.
We have Miracle Max. Make a pill to bring you back.
Who are you? Are we enemies? Why am I on this wall? Where's Buttercup?
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up. Buttercup is marrying Humperdinck in little less than half an hour. So all you have to do is get in, break up the wedding, steal the princess, make her escape after kill Count Rugen.
That doesn't leave much time for dilly-dallying.
He's watching his fingers, one of which twitches now.
You just wiggled your finger. That's wonderful.
I've always been a quick healer. What are our liabilities?
There is but one working castle gate now.
Fezzik helps Inigo raise Wesley just high enough so he can see for himself.
And it is guarded by 60 men.
And our assets?
Your brains, Fezzik's strength, my steel.
Cut to Wesley, absolutely stunned.
That's it? Impossible. If I had a month to plan, maybe I could come up with something, but this.
He shakes his head from side to side. Cut to Inigo and Fezzik.
You just shook your head. That doesn't make you happy.
My brains, his steel, and your strength against 60 men, and you think a little head jiggle is supposed to make me happy? I mean, if we only had a wheelbarrow, that would be something.
Where did we put that wheelbarrow the albino had?
Over the albino, I think.
Well, why didn't you list that among our assets in the first place? What I wouldn't give for a Holocaust cloak.
There, we cannot help you.
Will this do?
Where did you get that?
Miracle Max's. It's so nice. He said I could keep it.
All right. Come on, help me up.
Inigo and Fezzik do.
Now I'll need a sword eventually.
Why? You can't even lift one.
True, but that's hardly common knowledge, is it? Now there may be problems once we're inside.
I'll say. How do I find the Count? Once I do, how do I find you again? Once I find you again, how will we escape?
Don't pester him. He's had a hard day.
Right, sorry.
Cut to a shot of the three of them in profile. They move along the wall in silence for a time. Then these words come to us in the wind.
Inigo. What? I hope we win.
Cut to Buttercup in her bridal gown. And she's incredible. It's not just her beauty. There's a tranquility about her now. Pull back to reveal the prince, fastening a pearl necklace around her.
Don't seem excited, my little muffin.
Should I be?
Brides often are, I'm told.
I do not marry.
Cut to Buttercup, and she couldn't seem more serene.
Wesley will save me.
Cut to her Wesley, looking down on the gate with Inigo and Fezzik. Cut to the main gate of the castle, and Yellen standing there, flaked by his 60 brutes. Cut to Wesley and Inigo and Fezzik, looking out at the enemy. This is it. Inigo and Fezzik shake hands. Wesley can't even do that, but after a bit of rock and forth, he manages to get enough momentum to catapult his arm over to his friend. Cut to an absolutely gem-like little chapel. Pull back to reveal the most intelligent-looking, most impressive-appearing clergymen imaginable. Buttercup and Humperdinck kneel before the clergymen. Behind them sit the mumbling old king and queen. Standing in the back is Count Rugen. 4 guards are in position, flanking the chapel door.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
He has an impediment that would stop a clock.
marriage, the blessed arrangement, the dream within a dream.
And now, from outside the castle, there begins to come commotion. And then,
Stand your ground, men. Stand your ground.
cut to the brutes and Yellen. By the gate, for it is indeed they who are making the commotion, frightened, pointing.
Stand your ground.
Cut to their POV, and it is a bit unnerving. A giant seems to be floating toward them out of the darkness. A giant in a strange cloak, and with a voice that would crumble walls.
I am the dread pirate Roberts. There will be no survivors.
Cut to Fezzik, and he seems to be floating because he's standing in the wheelbarrow as Inigo, hidden behind him, busts a gut by pushing it and supporting Wesley.
Not yet.
Cut to the giant floating closer.
My men are here, and I am here. But soon you will not be here.
Cut to Yellen, keeping the brutes in position, trying to, shouting orders, instructions, and as yet the brutes hold. Now, cut to Inigo and Wesley. Inigo struggles bravely under their combined weight.
No!
Fight him.
Cut to the brutes as the giant bursts suddenly, happily into flames.
The dread pirate Roberts takes no survivors. All your worst nightmares are about to come true.
Cut to the chapel, where the impressive clergyman plows on.
Love, true love, forever and ever.
Cut to Prince Humperdinck, turning quickly, giving a sharp nod to Count Rugen, who immediately takes off out of the chapel with the 4 guards as we cut to Fezzik, flaming and scary as hell.
The dread pirate Roberts is here for your souls.
Cut to Yellen. Suddenly, the brutes just scream and take off in wild panic.
Stay where you are. I said stay where you are.
Cut to inside the chapel.
To treasure and what?
To the end.
Have you the wing?
Whips out the ring. The screams are very loud outside.
Here comes my whip. No.
Cut to Fezzik as he pulls off the Holocaust cloak.
Fezzik, the portcullis.
And Fezzik rushes forward, grabbing the portcullis, which is indeed coming closing quickly. Fezzik grabs the gate and swings the tonnage back upward. Yellen just watches in fear. Cut to the chapel as Humperdinck shoves the ring on Buttercup's finger.
Oh, Wesley's dead.
Buttercup only smiles, shakes her head.
I killed him myself.
Then why is there fear behind your eyes?
Cut to Prince Humperdinck. And she's right, it's there. Cut to Yellen, pressed against the main gate. Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik close in.
Give us the gate key.
I have no gate key.
Fezzik tears arms off.
Fezzik steps toward it.
Oh. You mean this gate key?
No, you didn't!
And Buttercup. And the impressive clergyman.
Oh.
And you, Princess Buttercup.
Man and wife. Say man and wife.
And wow.
All right. Escort the bride to the honeymoon suite. I'll be there shortly.
And as he dashes off from the Western clergyman now, Buttercup standing there, dazed.
You're muted.
I said it.
I didn't hear it.
Finished.
Come. He didn't come!
Cut Rugen and his 4 warriors racing through the castle, and as they reach a complex intersection of several corridors, Rugen stops, incredulous, as we cut to Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik moving toward them. Actually, Fezzik is dragging Wesley, who is in turn dragging Yellen's sword like a stiff dog leash. Wesley simply hasn't the strength to raise it. Cut to Count Rugen, and the confrontation is about to start.
Kill the Dark One and the Giant, but leave the third for questioning.
As his warriors attack, Inigo goes wild, and maybe the warriors are good. Maybe they're even better than that. But they never got a chance to show it because this is something now. This is Inigo gone mad, and the six-finger sword has never flashed faster. And the fourth warrior is dead before the first one even hits the floor. There's a pause, then...
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You drew my father. Prepare to die.
Cut to Count Rugen. For a moment, he just stands there, sword in hand. Then he does a most unexpected thing. He turns and runs the hell away. Cut to Inigo, momentarily surprised, then taking off after him, leaving Wesley and Fezzik to exchange curious looks, and Rugen running through a half-open heavy wooden door, shutting it and locking it just as Inigo throws himself against it. He tries again. No kind of chance.
Fezzik! I need you!
Cut to Fezzik with Wesley, who is still unable to walk under his own power. He calls back.
I can't leave him alone.
Cut to Inigo, desperately pounding at the heavy door.
He's getting away from me, Fezzik! Please! Fezzik!
Cut to Fezzik and Wesley.
I'll be right back.
He props Wesley up against a large suit of armor and takes off toward the intersection where Inigo's voice came from. Cut to Inigo, still hammering the door. Fezzik approaches, gestures for him to stop, and with one mighty swipe of his mighty hands, the door crumbles.
Thank you.
And Inigo flies through as Fezzik heads back to Wesley. Cut to Buttercup, walking with the king and queen. The queen, more sprightly, is several paces ahead. Strange wedding!
Yes, a very strange wedding. Come along.
Buttercup gently stops the king and places a kiss on his forehead. He is very surprised and pleased. What was that for?
No, you'll be kind. And I won't be seeing you again, since I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Oh, won't that be nice? She kissed me. Words. Cut to Count Rugen, and he's running, dashing through corridors as he glances back. Cut to Inigo behind him, coming like a streak. And cut to the intersection, with the large suit of armor and Fezzik gaping, staring at all the choices, trying to piece together the puzzle of the missing Wesley. Cut to Count Rugen, flashing out of one room, down a staircase, picking up his pace. He pulls out a deadly-looking dagger with a sharp point and a triangular-shaped blade, and sprints on, and cut to Inigo, closing the gap closer and closer. He's down the stairs and heading into a dining hall, and cut to Count Rugen, throwing the dagger. Cut to Inigo, trying like hell to get out of the way, but no, and it sticks deep into his stomach. He hurls back helplessly against the room, his eyes blaze, blood coming from the wound. The room is going white on him.
Sorry, Father. I tried.
Cut to Count Rugen, looking across the room at Inigo. He stares at Inigo's face and then touches his own cheeks as memory comes.
You must be that little Spanish brat I taught a lesson to all those years ago. It's simply incredible. You have been chasing me your whole life and only fail now. Only to fail now. I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard. How marvelous.
Inigo sinks. Closing the door of the honeymoon suite, crossing quietly to the far wall where she sits at a table, opens a jeweled box, and takes out a very deadly-looking dagger. She seems very much at peace as she touches the knife to her bosom.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. It would be a pity to damage yours.
Buttercup whirls as we cut to Wesley lying on the bed. Yellen's sword is beside him. His voice sounds just fine, but he does not move. Buttercup leaps to the bed, covering him with kisses. Wesley is helpless.
Oh, Wesley, darling. Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Gently.
At a time like this, that's all you can think to say. Gently.
Gently.
After Inigo thumping his head against the headboard and cut to Count Rugen, very much surprised.
Good heavens, are you still trying to read?
Pull back to reveal Inigo struggling feebly, pulling the dagger from his stomach, holding the wound with his left hand. Rugen is pushing off from the table, sword in hand, moving in to kill Inigo.
You've got an overdeveloped sense of vengeance. It's going to get you killed someday.
Inigo watches the Count approach, and the Count flicks his sword at Inigo's heart. And there's not much Inigo can do. Just kind of vaguely parry the thrust with the six-fingered sword, and Count Rugen's blade sinks deeply into Inigo's left shoulder. Inigo doesn't seem to feel it. The other agonies are so much worse. Cut to the Count stepping back, going for the heart again. Cut to Inigo. And as this blow comes, he's trying to use the wall for support and forcing himself to his feet. And it's not a roaring success of an attempt, but he does at least make some progress, and again, he manages to parry the thrust. As this time, Rugen's sword runs through his right arm. Again, Inigo doesn't seem to mind. Doesn't even feel it. Cut to Count Rugen, stepping back for just a moment, watching as Inigo continues to inch his way to the feet, and then, just before the Count is about to strike again, Inigo manages a little flick of his own, and Rugen hadn't expected it, and he jumps back, makes a little involuntary cry of surprise, and cut to Inigo slowly pushing away from the wall.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Cut to Count Rugen, suddenly going for a fierce attack, striking with great power and precision, for he is a master swordsman, and he forces Inigo easily back, drives him easily into the wall, but he does not penetrate Inigo's defense. None of the Count's blows get home, and as the Count steps back a moment, cut to Inigo, pushing slowly off the wall again.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Cut to the Count, and again he strikes, slashing with wondrous skill, but none of his blows get through, and slowly, Inigo again moves forward.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Stop saying that!
Cut to Count Rugen, retreating more quickly around the table. Inigo drives for the Count's left shoulder now, thrust home where the Count had gotten him. Then another move, and the blade enters the Count's right shoulder, the same spot Inigo is wounded.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Oh!
Offer me money.
And now the six-fingered sword strikes, and there is a slash bleeding across one of Rugen's cheeks.
Yeah.
Power 2. Promise me that.
The great sword flashes again, and now there's a parallel slash bleeding on Rugen's other cheek.
All I have, and more, please.
Offer me everything I asked for.
Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a witch.
Now that's Inigo, and almost too fast for the eye to follow. The sword strikes one final time, and cut to Count Rugen crying out in fear and panic as the sword hits home dead center, and cut to Inigo and Rugen, the sword clear through the Count. They are almost frozen like that for a moment. Then Inigo withdraws his sword, and as the Count pitches down, cut to Rugen, laying dead. Skin, ash, and the blood still pours from the parallel cuts on his cheeks, and his eyes are bulging wide, full of fear. Cut to Inigo, staring at Rugen, and now Inigo does something we have never seen him do before. He smiles. Hold for just a moment on Inigo smiling, then cut to inside the honeymoon suite. Wesley lies as before. Not a muscle is moved. His head is still on the headboard, Yellen's sword at his side. Buttercup is alongside the bed. Her eyes never leave his face.
Wesley, will you ever forgive me?
What hideous sin have you committed lately?
Got married. I didn't want to. It all happened so fast.
It never happened.
What?
It never happened.
But it did. I was there. This old man said man and wife.
Did you say I do?
No. We sort of skipped that part.
Then you're not married. If you didn't say it, you didn't do it. Wouldn't you agree, Your Majesty?
Cut to Humperdinck entering the room, staring. He pulls out his sword.
A technicality that will shortly be remedied. But first things first. To the there.
No! To the pain.
To the pain. I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain. I'll use small words so that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
This may be the first time in my life a man has dared insult me.
Cut to Wesley lying there comfortably, his words quiet at first.
Won't be the last. To the pain means the first thing you lose will be your feet below the ankles. Then your hands at the wrists. Next, your nose.
Cut to Humperdinck, gripping his sword, watching.
And then my tongue, I suppose. I killed you too quickly the last time. I should have taken my time. It was a mistake I won't duplicate tonight.
I wasn't finished. The next thing you lose will be your left eye, followed by your right.
And then my ears. I understand. Let's get on with it.
Cut to close-up, Wesley huge.
Wrong. Your ears, your ears you keep. And I'll tell you why.
Cut to Humperdinck, and now he stops, and the look that was in his eyes at the wedding, that look of fear, is starting to return.
So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
Cut to Humperdinck, doing his best to hide the fear that keeps building inside him.
I think you're bluffing.
Cut to Wesley, lying there, staring at him.
Possible, pig. I might be bluffing. It's conceivable, you miserable, vomitous mass, that I'm only lying here because I lack the strength to stand. Then again, perhaps I have the strength after all.
And now, slowly, Wesley begins to move. His body turns. His feet go to the floor. He starts to stand. Cut to Humperdinck, staring, eyes wide. Cut to Wesley, and now he's standing, sword in fighting.
Drop your sword.
Cut to Prince Humperdinck, and he's so panicked he doesn't know whether to pee or wind his watch. Throws the sword to the floor.
Have a seat.
Cut to Wesley, speaking to Buttercup as Humperdinck sits.
Tie him up. Make it as tight as you like.
And as she sets to work, cut to Inigo, entering, looking around.
Where's Fezzik?
I thought he was with you.
No.
Ah. In that case.
His balance betrays him.
Help him,
Why does Wesley need helping?
because he has no strength.
Cut to Humperdinck, and now he starts wrestling mightily with his bonds.
I knew it! I knew it! You was bluffing! I knew it!
Shall I dispatch him for you?
Thank you, but no. Whatever happens to us, I want him to live a long life alone with his cowardice.
Inigo! Where are you?
They look at each other, then move to the balcony, and cut to Fezzik, leading 4 great white horses. He glances up, sees them on the balcony.
There you are, Inigo. I saw the prince's stables, and there they were, 4 white horses. And I thought, there are 4 of us if we ever find a lad. Hello, lad. So I took them with me, in case we ever bumped into each other. I guess we just did.
Cut to Inigo and Wesley and Buttercup, looking down at Fezzik.
Fezzik, you finally did something right.
Don't worry, I won't let it get to my head.
Holds out his great arms, cut to something unexpected and very lovely. Buttercup floating through the air, What's happening, of course, is that she's jumping from the balcony so Fezzik can catch her, but her fall is in slow motion, so you might think she was flying. Wesley and Inigo, watching as Fezzik catches Buttercup.
You know, it's very strange. I've been in Ridge business so long. Now that it's over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered piracy? You'd make a wonderful Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes, I
Now,
would.
cut to the floor.
Cut to the floor.
Cut to the 4 glorious white horses with their 4 riders, triumphantly racing through the night. Cut to Buttercup and Wesley, and at last, the trials are done. They stop.
They rode to freedom, and as dawn arose, Wesley and Buttercup knew they were safe. A wave of love swept over them, and as they reached for each other,
As Buttercup and Wesley begin their ultimate kiss, cut to the kid's bedroom. The grandfather stops reading.
What? What?
oh, it's kissing again. You don't want to hear it.
Well, I don't mind so much now.
He gestures for his grandfather.
Get into it.
Okay.
Cut to Buttercup and Wesley, locked in a deep, pure, and passionate kiss.
Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure.
Oh yeah.
This one left them all behind. The end.
Cut to the kids' room. The grandfather snaps the book closed.
Now I think you ought to go to sleep.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So long.
Grandpa,
The old man stops, turns.
maybe, just maybe, you could come over and read it again tomorrow?
As you wish.
All is done. As the grandfather steps out the door, tipping his hat. Final fade out. The end.
I can't believe it.